If I was in the Caribbean, I'd say good morning and you would all respond. So let's pretend we're in the Caribbean. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. I'm actually here to represent the Task Force on HIV of World Evangelical Alliance. In 2008, at our General Assembly in Pattaya, Thailand, I speak very quickly. And I know many of you, English is not your heart language, so if I'm going too fast, wave at me and I'll slow down a little bit, but I want to get in the 5 minutes, okay? At that General Assembly in 2008, we adopted a statement in which, as a community, we repented and asked forgiveness of the stigma and the discrimination that our community globally has exhibited towards persons living with HIV. And that was not just a statement, that was heartfelt. I was then asked to head up the task force on HIV, and I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But the reason I was asked to do that is because of the work that I'm doing in the Caribbean. And I am Caribbean. I was born in Barbados. My ancestry there is 300 years. I do not sit in the sun, therefore I am not... Yeah, you said it, not me. More than a decade ago, I proposed doing a survey among our young people because the messages coming from agencies like the United Nations fuel stigma and discrimination in our community. When the United Nations and other agencies say that the at-risk groups are commercial sex workers, gays, and persons using drugs, we here understand what that means, but the people sitting in the congregation understand that to mean that the people who get HIV are commercial sex workers, people who do drugs, and people who are gay. So that when somebody in the congregation is diagnosed with HIV, the first question is, well, which are you? Are you doing drugs? Are you gay? Or are you a prostitute? And we don't say commercial sex workers. We say prostitute. So that is fueling stigmatization in our community. And I needed to change the message. But when I said to the pastors, I want to ask questions, they said, no, you can't ask our young people questions like that. And to cut out a long story, eventually I took the bull by the horns and I borrowed the money and I did a survey in Barbados, and it's a fairly pathetic survey, but it was the guinea pig. And out of that, UNICEF got into partnership with us. And last year we were able to do a survey of the sexual practices of young people attending evangelical churches in the countries of Antigua, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent. We had 1,076 responses that we could use from 74 different churches. And what that survey said to us is that about half of our young people have been or currently are sexually active outside of marriage. I made sure that there were only evangelical young people, because you know us evangelicals, we blame the Roman Catholics and Anglicans for everything. So I deliberately, will you please forgive me, I deliberately left out the Anglicans, the Roman Catholics, the non-evangelicals, because I did not want the Pentecostals to have the opportunity to say, well, that's the Roman Catholics that you've got here. They're the ones doing that, not my young people. So I made sure we had only evangelical young people responding. So there's no excuse. And we asked the questions. You know the questions important to us? Are you born again? Have you been baptized in water? Have you been received into the membership of the church? How often do you go to church? We have those questions in there. So when the pastors say to me, are you sure these are our young people? I can say, yes. Look, they say they're born again. They say they've been baptized in water. They say they have been received into the membership of the church. And the average attendance, the mean for attendance at church in the month previous to the survey was 10 times. So that's more than twice a week. So yes, these are our young people. And then the pastors go through the survey with me. And they keep saying, are you sure these are our young people? And so we keep going through, yeah. But one of the most significant, well, the three significant things for me is that about half of our young people have been or currently are sexually active outside of marriage. The mean for the number of partners for girls is 4. The mean for the number of partners for males is 7. These are young people in our evangelical churches. I can say this now because they told me. I'm not guessing. Another very significant thing for me was what appeared to be a lack of knowledge on how HIV is transmitted. And lack of knowledge breeds fear, and fear fuels stigma and discrimination. And when I raised this in every meeting where I present the results of the survey. And in St. Lucia, a youth worker got up and said to me, "Bishop, it's not that they don't know the information on transmission, it's that they don't believe the information on transmission. They are not sure that it is only by blood, semen, breast milk. They are still worried that it might be a mosquito bite. They're still worried that they will get it from a toilet seat. They're still worried that they will get it from eating utensils. So they don't believe the information they've received." Now, this is where religious leaders come in. We need to help our people understand and believe the information, that they can act on the information, remove the fear, and kill the stigma and the discrimination. The last thing that has been very powerful for me is that 2.6% of the young people in that survey said they have already tested positive for HIV. So I am now in a position to say to evangelical pastors in the Caribbean, it's not them out there, it's us in here. Here is the evidence. This is what the young people have said to us. In every situation, in the last couple of, the report was published last November. We are now beginning to really disseminate the information, and pastors are beginning to react and say, well, what are we going to do? Here's part of what we're doing. Many of our young people said they had never met anybody who is HIV positive. I'm sure they have, but the person never said they were HIV positive, because if they say they're HIV positive, the UN has already labeled them as prostitutes, gay, or shooting drugs. And that's the perception, okay? So they don't say anything. So Musa Njoko from South Africa, who's from the Zulu nation, is a Pentecostal gospel singer living with HIV. Tear Fund and UNICEF have agreed to assist us in bringing her to the Caribbean, and she will be doing a couple of gospel concerts. She's going to do a gospel concert in my home church, and that is an incredible breakthrough, because my home church has in the past asked people living with HIV, please do not come back to church. And so and my home church is the largest congregation in Barbados. I'm not the pastor, I just sit in the congregation, all right? Please understand. I might be the bishop, but I sit in the congregation. There's over 4,000 members. And for them to say we will have an HIV positive gospel singer on our platform and we will pay for the promotion of the concert was a major breakthrough. And so a number of our young people for the first time are going to meet an evangelical gospel singer living with HIV. UNICEF is also helping us to set up workshops, etc. And we're going to do this in Barbados and Guyana. Next year, at our major congress, we do our major congress every 2 years, it will be October next year, and we are going to run a youth symposium alongside of our pastors' conference. The young people will join us in the morning and the evening, but then during the day, they will get 9 hours, 3 hours each day, over 3 days, 9 hours of intensive instruction on 3 tracks, and they can pick the track that they want to go to. Peer counseling, life skills education, and if Christo is still here, channels of hope. Those 3 will run simultaneously, and they will join one track and get intensive training, so that we are making preparation to equip the youth as well as the pastors with the skills to respond to the situation. The Caribbean is second only, and you can say Caribbean, it's okay, we say both. I say Caribbean, you can say Caribbean. We're second only to sub-Saharan Africa in the prevalence of HIV infection. A lot of people don't realize that, because whilst the percentages are very high, the numbers are small. But that has a significant impact on our island nations, and it's time for the church to step up. And this is the way in which I am getting the church to engage. Thank you very much.